Hi, this is Jim Wilcox with Fearless Defense LLC. Wanted to bring to you a safety tip. I've gotten messages from some of you asking how to make sure a semi-automatic firearm is clear and safe and unloaded. That's a very important safety thing to learn, and everybody should know it, especially if you have a firearm, a semi-automatic. So I wanted to share with you what I do. First of all, I always have my gun, if it's loaded, I always have it in a Kydex holster that is specifically molded for my particular firearm. This holster is from Vetter, the family Vetter holsters in Florida, I believe. It does have a wedge on the inside that goes up to my stomach that pushes in on the top of the gun. And then this is what's called a claw. You can see that. When I tighten my belt, it causes the butt of the gun to squeeze in toward my stomach, so it prints less. So I have checked this firearm, triple checked it for safety. I'm using fake rounds called snap caps that are the same size of a round, but they're not real. So I wanted to have that so I could show you what it looks like to successfully clear the firearm. First of all, I'm going to take it out of the holster. And again, being careful. Again, safety rules never to point at anybody, including myself. I have my finger on the frame of the gun. This is one of my carry guns. This is a SIG P365X Macro. Holds 17 rounds in a magazine, 1 in a chamber. It doesn't have a safety. People say all the time, your gun doesn't have a safety. Isn't that dangerous? Well, I'll tell you what, whenever my gun is loaded and I have it carrying with me, it's always in my holster. And you can hear it snap to make sure that it's well seated. And my holster is my safety. I can't reach the trigger, and the only way this gun's going off is if I press the trigger. I can't reach the trigger because the trigger is completely covered with trigger guard is completely covered with this holster. So how do I make this gun safe? Well, the first step that you have, I always teach my students, is there is a button on the side. I teach them to depress a button and drop the magazine. First thing you do every single time. But the gun is not completely safe checked. So I always teach my students to rack the slide 3 times. Why do you do that? Well, I want to make sure that there's any round in the chamber that it gets expelled when I rack the slide. So this next step is I'm going to rack the slide 3 times, and you'll probably see the round pop out. And then the next step is to lock the slide open. There's generally a slide lock lever, so I hold the gun back with my thumb, push up on the lever, and lock the slide open. Why am I going to do that? Because I want to visually and tactically feel down in to make sure there's no round or nothing in and around there that could be a safety issue. So I'm looking down in the chamber. I don't see anything in there. I'll take my pinky and feel, and we have a safe gun. So I wanted to run that by you. It's always important to be safe and responsible at all times with a firearm, at all times, because you cannot afford a negligent discharge that could hurt or kill somebody, and including yourself. So make sure you obey those rules. That's how you clear a semi-automatic handgun. If you have any questions, as always, give me a shout, make a comment, reach me with messaging. Remember, I'm a certified firearms instructor. I'm also certified in training church security teams. So if you have an interest in a conversation with me to discuss that, feel free to reach out to me. All right, you have a great evening. Thanks so much. Call me anytime.